Oblast with Don and Kevin is a show where we share opinions and interviews about topics that interest us. We generalize a lot, and we do realize that some of the topics we touch on, there are people on the fringes that are not part of the group we are generalizing. In order to spare the listeners having to hear us constantly caveat our conversations to recognize that there are other groups and opinions out there, this is our blanket statement stating just that. We know. Also, we are not on any side. We are not left, right, good, evil, up or down. The purpose of the show is to both provide entertainment and also to expose you to new ideas and opinions to cause you to think, research, and form your own opinions that you can share with others. We very much thank you for listening. May 10th, 2021. This is Oblast with Don and Kevin. I'm Kevin.
And I'm Don.
And we're back again. Yay. No interviews. I haven't had anybody ask to be interviewed recently, so I haven't actually been reaching out to anybody either. I've been kind of busy lately, and well, I'm always busy. But more busy than usual. It's post-COVID now for me, because I got the vaccine and everything. And
I got it too.
Had to do various things, and yeah. It's not over yet, though. There's still more to do. There's an endless amount of things that must be done. But today, what was it? Sunday? No, it was Mother's Day on Sunday, right? Or is that?
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, I went over to Amber's house and hung out with her family over there. It was all right. Her mom's kind of funny. Works at NASA and says crazy things. And then what did I do after that? I did something else. But anyway, today got some blood work done, and I do that at least once a year, but it's usually like every 6 months because a long time ago I had a blood pressure incident. And that can mess with your kidneys when your blood pressure's high blood pressure. Well, it can screw up all your organs, right? And my kidneys are okay. They're not great because they're supposed to clear creatinine. And as they start to get weak, when you get old, and it just kind of probably happens to a lot of people, but not everybody. But as they get weak, they don't clear creatinine or creatinine, whatever the fuck it's called, out of your blood efficiently, right? You don't got to go into dialysis or anything for that. It's just what they call like level 1 kidney disease. And I can control it if I lose weight. Like, I'm not a big fat guy or anything. I'm not obese, actually. I'm just like, if you look at the BMI scale, there's people that are listed as obese, and then there's people that are listed as overweight, right? Mm-hmm. So I'm still like, I'm overweight. Like, I'm not obese. But it's really hard to get down to, like, at this age, right? To get down to normal, right? Which for me, being 6'3", 6'4", is somewhere around 195 pounds, I think. Which is like really light. That's like high school light almost, And I mean, I could do it. Like, I could not eat, but like my brain tells me it's like, hey, you're hungry, go eat. You know what I mean? Like, I can't, like, if I was like in like some sort of like forced food program, you know what I mean? Like, you only have like certain ration tickets or something, and you go to the store and you're like, what can I get with this ration ticket? And they're like, you can get the celery or the carrots. You know what I mean? I'd be like, fuck, that's all I get. This is bullshit. What about that? There's donuts over there. Do you got the blue ration coupon? No donut for you. You know what I mean? So like, I would lose weight like everybody else, but it's hard. It's psychologically, your body wants to put on weight because it thinks that you're at some point, you're going to be involved in some sort of famine, like back in the day. So like, so your body's always like, go eat something, so you get fat, and so you can survive the winter when it's, you don't have enough, but we just
nice and thick,
right. But we just live in like this world where, like, we have instant access to food. So it's like that's never a problem or something. I don't know. I exercise and everything, but I don't know. That's like, I'm not good at the gym, like the gym is kind of like I used to go like every day, like to the gym, like literally every day. I had this thing where I was like, I'm going to do this for a year. I'm going to go every day. And, one day I'll be like a cardio and the other day I'll be like weightlifting. And I did that for like a year. And, you get stronger, right? Like you're stronger. Like you lift more and, you feel like your muscles are tighter and everything. And you feel like you feel like
you're doing something.
Yeah, you feel like you feel like you're pumped, but you don't, like, genetically, like, I'm not designed to be a muscle guy. You know what I mean? So my body's not really putting on a lot of muscle or anything. It's not. And it's not, it doesn't cause you to lose any weight, because all it does is it makes you more hungry, because, you're ramping up your metabolism. And so then your body's like, I want to eat more, but exercise is not really great at losing calories. Like you could run on a treadmill for an hour and only lose like one cheeseburger or something. Like it's hardly anything. And so it's like, I determined that like it would be better to just walk, right? Because the biggest muscles in your body burn the most calories. The biggest muscles are your leg muscles. And I can walk forever. I mean, you and I used to walk all over town. You know what I mean?
Everywhere.
Like, we just walk everywhere, and you could run, but running wears you out. Like, I know there's some people that run forever, but really your knees and the cartilage in your feet and all, it's just your back. Everything's going to you're just going to get annihilated after a while trying to do that. But like walking, like as human beings, we're just kind of designed to do it. And I don't mind it. I don't mind walking at all. So I walk like an hour a day. And then on weekends I'll go hiking and stuff and lose weight that way. But I can't shake it. I can't get down enough to like get down to that 195. It's just not going to happen for me. But I don't know. Maybe if my health deteriorated more, I would diet better or something.
You wouldn't have a choice. You'd be on that deathly diet,
right?
Where you just can't eat.
Like, it's just like if my doctor's just like, you cannot eat this anymore. Because I mean, I almost don't eat red meat at all anymore. Very rarely. Like if it's like I just was at Mother's Day thing at Amber's, and I was like, she just had tacos, right? Of course, I'm going to have some ground beef on the taco. You know what I mean? Like, it's what am I going to do? Just load it with vegetables or something? No, I know people that do that, but that's not that's not good. Like, that's just. It's not filling anyway. Like people that eat pure vegetables, I don't know how you do it because it's not filling. I mean, I guess you just eat like raisins and beans or something, and maybe that fills you up. But
might be filling, but I don't think it's like satisfying because you're not like
right.
Because like eating is something. Eating's like a twofold thing. It's like you're doing it to survive, but you're also doing it because you like what you're eating.
Yeah, right.
You know what I mean? So it's like if you eat take a bunch of like chopped up celery and mushrooms and onions and wrap it up in a tortilla, it'd be gross. It's just like, oh, you'd be crunching into it and stuff. You're just like, oh, this is sick. Like they used to have zucchini fries at Cheesecake Factory.
Yeah.
Like zucchini sticks, fried zucchini things. And I was like, I'll try that. And I grabbed one and I bit into it. And I was like, ooh, that's pretty good. And I'm sitting there chewing it. And that's just like, it's a zucchini. Yeah. And I was just kind of like, no, I don't like this anymore.
Right.
This is, I was expecting like cheese or meat or something.
Right. Yeah. No, like there's a lot of that too, like sweet potato fries and zucchini fries, and they do a lot of Brussels sprout things now. But they all cook them in the same way. They're all just like deep frying them in oil or whatever. So they still have like the same calorie content. Somebody might argue with you because like, it has more nutrition, but I'm vitamin packed, man. I don't need any. The vitamins don't matter to me. Like all they're doing is making me regular. Like it doesn't matter.
I knew this larger comedian used to do a joke. He said, "Yeah, I started eating more broccoli because it's good for you." He goes, and I tell you what, I love it. I've been eating it all day long. And he goes, but then the doctor tells me I have to do it without the ranch and without frying them.
Right.
It's just like, yeah, because that's what you need to do to make it good.
Right. And yeah. So I don't know. I deal with that. But anyway, So I go get this blood work done, and then I'll see my doctor at the end of the month. I'll see two of them. I'll see the dermatologist to follow up after this cancer thing in my ear, and then I'll see the regular doctor who will just scold me about my weight or something. She's pretty cool, but it's always about cholesterol these days. And, I don't want to get on statins even more. Like I'm on a very low dose of a statin because my good cholesterol just doesn't come up.
Mm-hmm.
We'll see what happens. I don't know. I was doing really good up until like weight loss. I was down to like not one. I was down to like 205, which is really low,
Yeah.
Until about January. And then it was just like dark, cold, and miserable. And I think like COVID was just kind of, the whole lockdown thing was just kind of sinking its teeth into me. Yeah. Like I was just getting to the point where I'm like, because I live alone and I'm just like,
just walking from room to room going, nope, nothing's new here.
Just need something after work, just fucking. Yeah. So, I don't know. We'll see what happens. But, now I'm going to be drinking again to go out to join a cornhole league with Larry Mack on Sundays. So I'll go do that. And then, of course, trivia. And that'll just be empty calories or something, unless I do like the vodka diet, which is not enjoyable to drink, but whatever. Anyway, and then I went to the dentist today. And dentist, well, I had a broken tooth. And I think it might have been, I'm not sure now, but I thought it was a new broken tooth, like a new problem tooth. Like, discovery, this tooth is messed up, But then my dentist was like, hey, this kind of looks like something was built up in there, and then, you lost something, like a filling or something, And I'm like, I thought that one was new. But then I sat there and I thought about it while he was sitting there drilling. And I was like, maybe this is the tooth he fixed, like, a while ago. And that kind of makes more sense. So he put some, he drilled, and he they give me that needle in the gums and everything, and numb me up, and then it still doesn't get enough. You know what I mean? Like he can drill into a certain area where it's tender, and it's like, ooh,
Yep.
You're just like,
oh yeah,
you're just like, that's all you can say because you got all these tools in your mouth. And he's like, that's kind of hurting for you. I'm like, and then he fixed it. But anyway, I got to get a crown or something, but for right now, he just put in the whatever.
Temporary.
Yeah, the glop or something that's in there that hardens up. And, so I'll have to go back. But, yeah, dentist, I was thinking about it. I thought, well, we should talk about dentists. Because, like, the whole thing is like, I've never actually had a lot of cavities. This tooth that he worked on today may be my only cavity that I ever had. But I had a thing where, and this is uncommon, but it happens to people. I had a thing where I had a baby tooth in my mouth that didn't have an adult tooth underneath it, right? And I kept it for a long time. I kept it until I was about 40. And, but it eventually, there's nothing, you know what I mean? It doesn't have roots, you know what I mean? It's kind of hanging out on your gum. And it eventually just gave up, it just fell apart. And so then I got an implant put in, right? Which is another whole freaking horror story. But this was the only cavity I ever had. And most of the time I go to the dentist, it's just a ritual. You get, they just like, three people staring in your mouth, right? Which is ridiculous. And they got like these tools and stuff. And, the dentist is like counting your teeth or something. And he's checking each one and giving off like a code number or something about their
each one.
3, 4, 3, I don't know.
Yeah.
And then they, and then the hygienist or whatever she's called will clean my teeth. And, they got to get a descaler or something, which is always gross. It's kind of like, saying that like you haven't done enough flossing in your life or something. But like, I don't know, flossing is, I don't have there's some people that have teeth that are all nicely spaced from each other to every other tooth. My teeth are all kind of like, my teeth are even, right? Nice and even. I never had to wear braces or anything. but they sit right next, they're touching each other. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's like trying to get trying to get that floss in there, especially in the back of my mouth, is fucking hard, man. I can't do it, So I get those little handy ones, and I'll use those occasionally, but for the most part, I just brush. I'm just like, I don't, I got time. I got time for this floss and shit. And so, and I was that position, that hygienist thing or whatever it is. I don't know what it is, but God bless those people, because that's kind of a gross job, right? I mean, you're kind of just like in somebody's mouth, like peeling shit off and cleaning it and stuff. I mean, it's like getting your mouth detailed or something, like a car or something.
That's what they went to school for.
Yeah, I know. And they get paid, I guess, for it and stuff. But it's just like, I always feel like, like odd about it. I'm just like, thanks for cleaning my mouth.
Yeah. I know I'm a grown adult, but I appreciate you taking care of me.
This is odd. And then, but yeah, then I had the cavity, and then they put in the filling, and this one's kind of, I don't know. I was kind of hoping. He said there's not much tooth left, but he thinks he can get a crown on there, which is good, because I don't want to go through another implant.
Right.
I didn't do like what they do when you get a normal implant, like if your molar shits the bed completely and you got to extract it, is they put cadaver bone in the hole in your mouth, and that builds the bone up there, right? So that then they can tighten in this, like, it's just kind of like a screw, basically, right? Where it's like where they're going to put the finished tooth,
right?
And so that you got to like have that, but that was freaking me out, man. I was like, I don't want somebody else's bones in my mouth. Like, it's just fucking where are the, they're like, they're sterile and it's safe and everything. And I'm like, that sounds
yeah. But in my head,
right.
Sterilize my brain.
It's like, I don't know what this means. And I was, I have anxiety, but I have a panic disorder. And a lot of it's driven by my kidney. I talked about my kidney earlier, but a lot of it's driven by my kidney, because my adrenal glands will, I don't know. They have moments where they're just like, Kevin needs extra adrenaline. Squirt, squirt. And, like it makes me
wake up and you go, what?
Yeah. It makes me a little bit, it wires me up, and it causes me to be like, it's what they call the, fight or flight, So it's like your brain has been, it's sort of a misfire, because like fight or flight, like a bear comes out and then you're like, you suddenly have all this energy and you can run away. Or if you were like a caveman or something, you could fight the bear, whatever, I don't know. But like, I don't, there's no bear, right? So my body misfires and shoots this renin chemical into my bloodstream. And my brain then searches for a problem. It's like, what's going on? It thinks like it's like a subconscious thing, because my logical brain's like, there's no bear, there's nothing going on. But my subconscious latches on, and it's like, oh, you're worried about the cadaver bone. You know what I mean? Like it just decides that that's going to be the thing. And then, so then I'm having like this physiological, because of the adrenaline, fear, this irrational fear, because of this fight or flight complex, making me scared of certain things. It's like a real fucking problem that I have. But in the recent years, I'd say the last few years, I've gotten over it, to some degree, because my kidneys are more under control. And I also kind of know what the problem is. And I also know, like, well, I'm not insane, which I know now. You're never quite sure when these things first start. You're like, am I always going to be crazy like this? But I know now that, like, if I have these attacks, which really suck, anxiety attacks are the fucking worst. Right. I also know that, like, I'm going to be able to handle it. Like, it's just uncomfortable, right? But it's like, it's going to go away. It's not like it's going to be there forever. It's going to pass, right?
Right.
The only time I would say, like, that wouldn't be the case, or where I would have probably a need for medication, would be like if something actually bad was going to happen. Like, like maybe they find like melanoma, right? And you have to go through like cancer and all that kind of thing with the chemo and all this sort of stuff. Like, if my brain latches onto that with like anxiety and worry, I don't know if I can handle it. We talked a little bit about some of that with the retirement one. I think I would I'd have to be drugged up to some extent in order to be able to deal with that. But for the most of the rest of it, I can handle that kind of stuff pretty fine. But when I was getting my implant, I was I was juiced up at that point, and I was really not having it. And but I just do it. I force myself to go deal with these things because you can't not do it. It's just like you got to get it done, and so it's just like I'm just gonna go through hell to get it done. But everybody's gonna look at me weird, and I'm gonna be sweating and everything, and it's just gonna be fucking awful. But I'm gonna do it. So they just drill in, and then they put this screw in there. He literally has like a Phillips screwdriver at one point, and he's just like tightening it into my mouth. But I didn't have the cadaver bone because where I lost the tooth never had a molar, so it didn't have to rebuild the bone, right? So he was able to drill right into my jawbone and then put the implant in, and then you go get a cap. And, they're like, trying to match the colors on it and stuff. And they're like, don't you want us to whiten your teeth? No, I just put this in. I want to get out of here.
That to me. That's what she said to me.
Yeah.
She's like, what shade do you want? I'm like, it's a molar. Nobody's looking at it. Just put it in my mouth. Let's get me out of this chair.
Right. As long as it's not blinking or something in my mouth, like a red light going off or something. It's so silly, because we grew up in a world where like when people got molars, they were, they got fillings. They were silver, or occasionally somebody would have gold, right? And when they open their mouth, all you see is silver in their mouths, and that was just normal. I mean, and nowadays you have this porcelain stuff that looks like your mouth and everything. But back in the day when we were growing up, they didn't have any of that. I don't know. Now they just shoot some light in your mouth or something. They're like, beep, and then you're
so weird.
It's weird, right? It's the weird technology.
Some kind of Logan's Run thing or whatever.
Yeah, well, he's deceased now, but he's my uncle that lived up in Canada. We would go up there and visit my dad's brother-in-law, right? Married to his sister. And we would go up to Canada, and it was one of those things where I was there, but just with my my dad. My brother never went on these excursions for whatever reason, my uncle's like, well, I'll take Kevin to work with me today or something. I didn't even know the guy. I thought he was retired. I'm like, all right, I'll go to this thing or whatever. And he had this like really weird like little office, and there was like trophies, in there and stuff. And he had this desk, and he had this machine, and he's like, I'm going to show you something really neat. And he said that there was like this awards dinner coming up, and he had these, he had to make these two plates, right? And he had like a picture or something that he would put on the plate, and then he would put this liquid right on top of it, like this clear liquid. And he would put it in this machine, and that machine would shoot that light at it. And then it would come out, and it would be hard like glass, like on the plate. And I was like, yeah, that's pretty cool. And then he's like, I'm going to give the woman, hers is going to be made out of bone china, because she's going to be like, ooh, this is bone china. The guy, he's not going to have any idea what any of that is. So he's just going to get a regular plate. I just thought that was funny. But yeah, no. So they do that light thing, and then it hardens up or whatever. And then you're out. And my dentist is an older guy, but he's a nice guy, and he seems like he knows what he's doing. You know what I mean? Like I don't have any. They give you those X-rays though, with like these really ancient X-ray machines that I'm not so keen on. Like I don't know if those things are safe. But I have other people who are like, go to my dentist. My dentist is amazing. They do all this high tech shit. And I'm like, I don't know if I want. Do I want all the high tech? I don't. I want my dentist to be modern and to know like all the latest techniques, but I don't know if I want to pay for all of it. Like, I don't know if I need like a 3D laser map of my mouth or something. I don't know if that's a thing, but I got a feeling that's what's going to happen. Like one of those ball things from Star Wars, that black thing with the needle is going to come out, and it's going to fly, like a small one's going to fly into my mouth and shoot a laser. I don't know, or it's just, I don't, yeah, but, for whatever reason, like it seems like I always have some issue where I have to go in, and then they have to adjust something or fix something, and so like I haven't gone in to get like a cleaning, and I was gonna do one last year, but then COVID, and I'm like, I am not going in there, fucking, with COVID and having all these people staring in my mouth while this crazy virus is going on. So I didn't go for a year, but luckily my tooth only broke like a couple months ago and it didn't hurt or anything. It was, so I just left it and went in. But you got some dentist stories?
Dude, I got a whole lifetime of dentist stories. Like this is like stuff I never talk about with anybody because it's like it paints me in a bad light because I'm just like such a wimp when it comes to that stuff.
I don't think anybody likes it. I mean, nobody's like looking forward to going to the dentist. I mean,
nobody likes it. But let me preface it like this.
Okay.
All right. When I was a kid, when I was like 4 or 5, I went to go to the dentist for the first time ever.
Sure.
And I was very nervous. I was scared. I didn't know because I'm a kid. I watched cartoons, so I grew up knowing like what was it always like in cartoons? Guys would go to the dentist office. They come out. They got like the towel wrapped around their face,
right?
Like
right.
under their chin and over their head, right? And they're always like, oh, and they're like, oh, I can't talk, and so I was scared. And I went in, and all they did was a cleaning, and they were like, oh no, here, check this out and do this, and this is, and I was like, oh, and when I was done, I was like, well, that wasn't anything like, what it was. Well, I was 5 and I really did not take care of my teeth as a child. I was really lazy. I ate a lot of stupid shit. I never brushed my teeth. I never did anything.
Did you have, just a question, did you have well water when you were a kid?
No.
Okay.
No.
Because, if you don't get fluoride, that can mess your teeth up. But if you got city water, you got fluoride. So.
Yeah, North Olmsted. But so I didn't know that the first visit was like, hey, we're going to check your teeth and see what we need to do, And so like my mom's like, okay, we got to go back to the dentist. And I was like, sweet. Like, well, that was awesome. I'll go back there and have them tickle my gums and stuff.
Did you get like a free toy, like a plastic ring or something?
Yeah. They had the little treasure chest. They're like, don't forget to pick a prize. And
yeah.
I was like, oh,
that was the best part of the dentist when I was a kid too. Was picking out the toy.
So I go into this thinking, this is going to be easy. I'm like, this is nothing. This is,
Right.
I'm going to go in and do this. And it turns out the first visit that we had was to determine what was wrong in my mouth.
Right. Exactly.
I didn't know that, and I didn't know they found anything, but guess what? They found a lot. And I mean, a handful of cavities all around.
Oh, man.
All over.
What a bummer.
Yeah, and I didn't, I was like, I don't know, I'm a little kid, right?
Right.
So I walk in, they're all like, hey, all right, yeah, hey, what's up, Dennis, man? Give him a high five and stuff like that. And then he's just like, all right, put this mask on. And I'm just like, what? And he's like, you need to do this. And then he's like, drilling and needles and all this, and I'm like freaking out. He's like, I'm gonna put this needle in your mouth. I was just like looking at it like, whoa, like what? Wait, no, like I don't want, like I totally, like everything just flipped.
Yeah.
And I was like 5, you know what I mean? Right. So it's like I'm in there by myself, and I'm just like, what? I mean, it was bad.
Right.
I was screaming. I embarrassed my parents so many times in the dentist, and I didn't mean to. You know what I mean?
No, I know what you're saying though. It could be, yeah. I've made needles, and when I was a kid, I scream and trying to run away from nurses and stuff. I don't want to get a needle. And if you think about it, it's just like getting pinched. It's not that big of a deal. But the imagination you have as a kid is like that thing might as well be Godzilla coming to eat you. You know what I mean? Like you're the terror that you're stricken by is nuts. No, I get it, man.
And that kind of just, obviously it put me over the edge where I was just like, oh my God, I walked out of there like, that was the worst thing I've ever experienced in my life. Like how, like what? Like people do, like, no, like I don't, and you would think like, if you were smart, you would say to yourself, all right, kid, what does that tell you? Start brushing your teeth, start taking care of yourself so you don't have to go back.
Right.
In my head, I was just saying like, screw this, I'm never going back.
Right.
But I had to, and it was bad. And like when I keep saying it was bad, I keep saying it. But there was to the point where like this dentist that we had, he was an older guy, and he would go. He was like, I'm going to give you the gas. And I remember the last time, right? Because the last time I was, I remember what happened the last time, and I was just like, no. I was like, I'm thinking in my head, I'm like, if he doesn't give me the gas, he can't do anything. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I put my hands up and I was swatting at him and stuff. I broke his mask.
Oh shit! Really?
The hose came off, and he's like, "What the?" Rah! Like this dude got so mad, he took a rag and shoved it in my mouth and was like, "You're gonna open your mouth and you're gonna do what I tell you," because this is the '70s.
Yeah, right.
He's just like, "You're gonna," and he's screaming at me, and I was just like, "Oh!" And I started freaking out even more. And it's just like, dude, like I'm afraid of you, and now you're yelling at me. So now I'm even more afraid of you, and you're gonna cause me pain. Like, you know what I mean? And then he's trying to, I'm 5 years old. He's like, "You brought this on yourself." And it's just like, what are you talking about? Like, I didn't want to come here, like, it was bad. It got to a point where I was in a chair. A couple years had gone by, and the guy was like, "All right, we're going to do some more work on you." And I had started screaming and crying, and I literally was begging for my life. I was like, "Please, please, please, just let me go. I don't want to be here. Like, I don't." And the guy's looking at me like, "Kid, I got to do this. Like, this is what's got to happen." You know what I mean?
That's so awesome.
He had to call my parents in to the room. And my dad's like, and you remember my dad, he's like, "What bloody hell's going on? And you're screaming bloody murder." And I was like, "Dad, he's going to do this and do this." He's like, "Shut your mouth and shut up and just do it." And I'm just like, "Oh no, now my dad hates me." I was like, "Oh no, everybody hates me." And that visit, that was my last visit to that dentist, because I was like, no, I don't care. I'm not subjecting myself to this pain. Like, I would rather have bad teeth and have pain in my mouth, but from cavities and stuff, as opposed to going through this. That's how dumb I was. And well,
you didn't know, really.
Yeah. And my dad was just like, "Just get up from the chair. Get up. Let's go. We're going home." And I was just like, "All right, sweet." I was like, "Let's get out of here. Let's go home." And he whooped my ass.
Yeah. Just going to do it in public. He's just going to keep your ass at home.
He's like, "You embarrassed the shit out of me in front of everybody. All these people were sitting in the lobby, like, who's screaming?" And then they had to walk out with me crying. And they were just like, "Yeah, it's our kid. Our kid's the one that's freaking out." And I didn't go to a dentist after that. For the longest time,
right,
until I was about 11 or 12, and my mom found this lady, Dr. Venizales, over at St. John's, and I went in there, and she was, my mom explained to her my situation. I went in there, and she was like super nice. She was just like, "Okay, she's like, "Listen, I'm just gonna tell you what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna tell you what's going on. And I'm going to do everything in my power to make it as painless as possible for you." And I was like, "Really?" And she goes, "Yeah." And I was like, "All right." And to this day, like, I can't sit in a dentist chair without getting uncomfortable.
Well,
right? You know how
I don't blame
you know how it is when you're sitting in a dentist chair. Because like this lady, okay, wait. So this dentist, Dr. Venizales, she was like, "Do you like music?" And I was like, "Yeah." She goes, "Do you have a Walkman?" And I said, "Yeah." And she goes, "Next time you come in here, bring your Walkman with you, with your music. You can wear the headphones while we're working on you. Close your eyes. Just sit there with your eyes closed, with your Walkman on and your mouth open. And I promise you, you won't feel a thing. You won't notice anything, other than the needles. Obviously, I mean, you're gonna feel the pinch,
right?
But she had a little trick she would do, so you wouldn't really feel it too bad.
No,
It's just like,
cool.
I was like, "Oh yeah, you're the best." So I ended up liking her.
Right, right.
And I think she got rich off of us, because she did a lot of work.
Oh,
wow. And like you were saying, where it was like pieces fall out and stuff.
Right.
And you're like, "Oh my God, my tooth broke off. Like a piece of my tooth broke off." And back in the day, it was easy to tell, because like you said, it was silver. So like, if you got the silver piece in your mouth, you're like, "Oh, it's my filling. My filling fell out. Here's my filling." But the newer fillings, where they're all white and stuff, you spit out a white chunk of tooth.
Yeah.
And you're like, "Oh, my tooth broke off." And you go to the dentist, and you're like, "Why doesn't this hurt? Like, how come this doesn't?" Like,
that's it exactly, right?
You're like, "It should hurt, shouldn't it?" And they're just like, "Well, that's the filling. Your filling fell out." And it's just like, "Oh," and they're like, "We're going to put a new one in." It's like, "Well, why? This one fell out. That one's going to fall out."
Right, right.
So I had a lot of that.
Right, right.
Do you remember? Okay, that's what I was going to say. You're sitting in the dentist chair, and they go to put the drill in there, and you're numb. You can't feel anything. And like, I'm kind of like you. They would shoot me with Novocaine. They would wait 5-10 minutes, and then they'd come in and go, out? And I'd be like, nope, that's not it. It's not
Yep, I know.
Because you could feel it. You could feel like the air and your tooth and everything.
That's how today was. Yep.
They would, every time I went to this lady, she knew from the very first time, because I told her, I said, you better double up the Novocaine. I said, because I could feel it.
Yeah.
And she's like, I don't think so. And she shot me the one time, and she went to go do it. And I was like, and she's like, oh, you felt that? I was like, yeah. Can you shoot me again? So she had to shoot me. She always knew I got to double Novocaine this dude because he's that bad. But once she did, and even with the Novocaine, you're sitting in the chair with your arms on the armrests.
Right.
And you're like sitting back, you got your mouth open, your eyes closed, or whatever you're doing. And they're drilling and they're doing their thing. You really can't feel it. But then you notice, you're like, wow, my body is really tight.
Right.
Like, I'm really like tense. I'm like, you're squeezing the chair.
You feel that pressure though. They're working on it, you know?
You're like, I know you're in there.
Yeah.
But you can't feel the pain.
Right.
So then you like loosen yourself. You're like, okay, I should just relax.
Exactly. You do that all the time. Yep.
2 seconds later, you're right back to it.
Yep.
Yeah. So this lady was, I had a bad beginning at dentistry. This second lady was really great for me.
Yep.
She really made it a lot easier for me. And I didn't mind going after a while. It was just like, okay, I'll go in there. It's going to hurt for a couple seconds when she gives me the needles. I'll close my eyes. I'm going to jam some Slayer or something in my headset. It was like super loud so they could always hear it and stuff. And I was just like, yeah, no big deal. Then she retired.
Yeah.
Like,
then you got to find another one. Yep.
Yeah. And I haven't yet.
Yeah. When you get a bad cavity or something, you will. When it hurts.
Well, no. That's the thing is I got a bunch of broken teeth in my mouth. It's hard for me. That's why it's hard for me to eat some things. That's why people are like, hey, you want some of this? It's like I have to look at it and be like, too crunchy. This is too this. This is too that. This is too. You know what I mean? Because I don't know what's going to fall off inside my mouth anymore. All the filling. I've had so many fillings in my life. They're all falling out. And I don't have, I mean, if I were to go to the dentist right now, hang on 1 second. Let me count these. You
don't have insurance or whatever to do dental anyway.
5, 6, 7. There's 7 teeth that need to be fixed in my mouth.
Wow.
They're all molars. So it's like, you can't tell. That's why I'm always like, well, it doesn't hurt and nobody can see them. So who gives a shit?
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
I'll just eat with my front. So people like look at me. They're like, that dude's eating weird. It's like, yeah, because I can only use my front teeth. I had explained it to my girlfriend a couple of weeks ago. She was like, you want some of the steak? And I was like, I like steak. I love steak. I love eating steak, but I can't because it's just, I can, but it's just too hard. It takes me too long because I have to sit there and I have to cut it small and I have to chew it with the, so it's like, I can't, I want to, but I can't. Let's see the final part of this. So when I found out I was in Columbus when I found out my dentist retired, I came back up here. She goes, no, you should call the guy that took my place. And I was like, oh, well, I don't trust the guy because he doesn't know me. I'm like, she knows me. She's like, oh, don't worry. He'll understand. I went to go see this dude.
Right.
And, he's like, yeah, come on in. I go, I just want a consultation. I want to talk to you. I want to feel you out. I want to see what you're like. I want to see what's going on. I want to make sure I'm comfortable with you. And he's like, yeah, sure. So I go in there and he goes, come on in the back and we'll talk. And I was like, okay, great. Thinking, yeah, we'll go into your office and we'll sit at your desk and we'll talk. He takes me to the dentist chair.
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
And he goes, go ahead and have a seat. And immediately my paranoia went off. I was just like, what do you mean? What do you mean sit down? Like,
right.
What do you mean sit there? Like, what are you going to do?
Right, right.
All of a sudden your brain starts going like, what do you mean? What are you going to start poking? Are you going to give me a needle? Why do I got to sit? And I even looked at him. I said, I sat on the chair sideways and he goes, you can sit regularly and sit back. I go, no, I'm good. And he goes, no, seriously. He's like, seriously, you can sit back. And he's like sitting right in front of me. And I'm like, I'm not doing it. Right. And he's like, what? I was just like, I'm more comfortable right here.
Right.
Than there.
Yeah.
And it was just, and then I walked, and then of course he was like, yeah, sure. We could do this and this and this and this and this. And that was the thing. It was like, don't force me into the seat. I don't want to be in the seat. It makes me uncomfortable. Right. And he kept trying, like, sit back. Let me look in your mouth. And I'm just like, why do you know? I'm like, get out of here.
Right.
So I walked out of that office and was like, I'm never calling this guy again. And I haven't been to a dentist since.
You might just need another female dentist, because women can sometimes be a little, there's different kinds of men and women, but they might be a little bit more reassuring for you.
That's what I had in Columbus.
Oh,
I ended up getting somebody in Columbus who was a woman. and she started working on my bad teeth. Like when the first one went, I went in there with the first one. I was like, hey, this tooth's bad. And she's like, gives me x-rays. And she goes, that one can wait. These other ones are terrible. And I was just like, what? So she started working on other ones. And the first one that was broken is not even there anymore because each piece is broken off. This is 10 years, easily more than 10 years. This is like 2008.
Right.
And it's like, since I've had broken since I was living with Julie.
Right.
In Columbus. That's like, I remember the night sitting there going like, oh, my tooth fell out. And it's been 12, 13, 14 years and I haven't had it fixed.
Oh, wow. You're going to end up with dentures at this point, I think. Yeah.
That's what I'm thinking. I'm like, you know what? Why don't you just pull everything out of the back and then just give me bridges or something, dentures or bridges. But I got caps. I got all that stuff. Like I've had root canals. I've had multiple root canals.
Jesus.
Caps.
Crowns, I know people like that, though. I mean, you're not alone. I mean, I know people that have had a lot of work done. I'm a little bit unique, but I think it's, my brother's had cavities and fillings. I wouldn't say I brushed religiously every, morning. Not when I was a kid, they'd be like, brush your teeth before you go to bed, And I do that as a kid. I don't do it now as an adult. And I never really had too many problems. They say it can be genetic, but like I said, my brother had issues. But I don't know. I never really did. I don't know what it is.
They say it could be genetic, and I am British, so.
Right. Well, yeah. German people, so maybe we have better teeth or something. I don't know. Maybe my brother got the Scottish side and I got the German side or something. I have no idea. But yeah, no, I hear you. It's not my favorite thing to do. I just do it because, you feel like you kind of have to at certain points. Like, if you want to be able to eat food regularly and stuff. But there's also a point like with this one tooth that I just had fixed. Like I was talking and I was like, I really don't want to get an implant, right? Like if they have to pull it, they can give me a bridge, or something instead. I'm not going to wear dentures, I guess, but then I might just like, if it doesn't bother me too much, I'll just have a missing tooth. You know what I mean? Like, because the implant, it's not just the cadaver bone part of it. It's just like, it's surgery too, and it's just like, I don't, like if this is going to keep happening, like let's do like 3 at once or something, like let's do it all. Cause I don't want to keep going in. It's just not a nice experience. It was quick and they were professionals and I had no problems with it. And it's been great and everything. So like, if you're ever on like out there listening, if you're ever on the fence about getting one and you don't have the weird anxiety problems that I do, it's a really good process and it works out fine. I just, sometimes just have to deal with a lot of, issues. And and I'm really good with pain, like as long as it's not like on the nerve, like, if I get cut, like I don't have problems with needles. I don't, I used to be a cook, so I cut into myself so many times, it doesn't bother me. I don't, aches and pains don't really get to me too bad, but like my back pain, because it was crushing a nerve or something in my back or when the dentist is like in my gum hitting my nerve. That's unacceptable. Like I'm absolutely in agony at that point. It's just like, that's just like the kind of pain that makes you mad. You know what I mean? Like you're getting hit by it and you're just like, no, we're going to come to blows here in a minute because, you can't keep doing that to me. That fucking sucks. Yeah. Dentist.
Like, my stuff was so bad at one time. My mom picked me up from middle school to take me to the dentist, and she gave me Valium. She was like, I need you to, she didn't tell me, she was just like, hey, we got to go to the dentist to get this stuff done, but here, I need you to take this first. And I was like, what's this?
Chill your ass out.
And she's like, just take it. And I was like, I'm not taking anything. And she's like, I'm your mother. You know what I mean? I'm like, 7th grade, 8th grade.
You're already on to her shenanigans. You're like, no way.
I'm like, I'm not doing this. And she's like, you need to take that. And I was just like, I'm not doing it. She's like, you take it or I'm going to tell your father. I was like, okay. And I took it. And then the rest of the day I was all chatty and gabby and just like, hey, mom. She's like, why the hell did I give him that? She goes, he won't shut the hell up.
That's awesome. Yeah, no, fuck. My mom would just be right there in the dentist's office screaming at me with the dentist. Like,
right.
Go ahead, hit him, punch him.
Yeah, go ahead. I don't care. I'll hold him for you.
Yeah, tie him down, Kevin. It would be awful. Yeah. So, all right. Well, last week on the show, you might have noticed it ended a little bit abruptly. I cut out that whole part where I started to go off about gender. What is it? Gender pronouns. Not that we said anything particularly bad when we were having that conversation. I was just sort of describing the fact that with the new. I don't know what you want to even call it, but the new way of communicating to people in like a work environment, you know, they didn't want us to use any gender pronouns, he, she, that kind of thing. And, you know, I have opinions about certain things, and I don't, we don't talk about politics very often on this show. And like I've always said, I'm moderate. I'm not right or left. I don't think Donnie's right or left. We're both kind of open-minded about a lot of things, and we both kind of, you know, we think about things and how it impacts us, etc. But I also think that, like, you know, my opinion on that is not so much like I'm not like against the idea of it so much as like I get confused by the whole thing, right? Because like there's throughout my life, there's been men and there's been women. Okay. Mm-hmm. There's males and there's females. And it's not like people transitioning through sex change operations has not existed. That's been going on forever. We all know about it. I don't know anybody that's done it, right? But I knew about it. And so, but before the sex change operation, let's say they were male, right? And then after the sex change operation and with drugs or whatever, they become female, right? You know, how you perceive it in your own head is up to you, but that's just kind of how it is, right? But we kind of change things around now where it's sort of like before you even have the surgery, you can sit there and say, I'm a woman, okay? Or I identify as a woman. Right. All right, well, I find that odd, right? Like I because you're not, right? Like genetically you're not, like, or whatever you want to call it. Biologically you're not, but you know, you want to be one,
known as or seen as,
right? And so, okay, I don't have that much of a problem with it, but you have to sort of like excuse me that I don't. Like, if you look like a dude, I think you're a dude. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like if you look like a chick, then I might be like, all right, well, you kind of look like a chick. You know, I'm not, that's how I'm going to know the difference to me. Like, you know, you're going to have to tell me otherwise, right? Otherwise, you know, I'm going to refer to you as a guy or a girl based on what you look like when I see you, right? But what they're saying is that, no, you can't do that either. You just have, because that might be offensive to somebody if you assume that they're male or female. Right. And so you have to, you know, use non-gender pronouns when you're referring to people or talking to people. And I don't get that, because you're either male or you're female. And if you want to tell people I'm a girl, like there's been many situations in my life where a girl has been lumped together with guys and the girl goes, I'm a girl, you know?
Right.
And you're like, oh, okay, I'm sorry, you know, and whatever. And you move on. But at no point is anybody saying like, you cannot use male pronouns anymore, right? Like this, this seems like a reaction to something that's not really a problem, right? But there's this maybe one group of people that don't identify with anything. They don't know if they want to be a guy or they don't know if they want to be a girl. But again, it's kind of like, look, you know, you biologically, and this is just my opinion, you biologically just are something. Now, if you want to change into something else, fine. That's cool, whatever, you know, do that or work towards that or whatever. And, but if you look like a dude and you have the biology of a guy, why should you be offended if I'm referring to you as a guy? Like, that's the part that's confusing me. Like, I don't feel like you're putting all of us out. Like, you're putting out most of the population due to this, this identity weirdness. That's the only thing I can call it. And I don't, yeah, go ahead.
Just like, it's like that dude that was at the GameStop. it's ma'am. It's ma'am. And it's like, dude, I can tell you're a dude. Like, did you remember that video?
I've never seen that, but it sounds like I can relate to what you're saying. Yeah.
Yeah, it was this guy who was transgender or cross-dresser or what, I don't know what he was. And he was in the store and he was yelling about something and the guy was like, "Sir, the guy who was working there was like, "Sir, could you please be careful?" And he looked at him and goes, "It's ma'am." And it's like, you're looking at him like, dude, give the kid a break.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, don't, you can't.
And in the service, like they call both genders sir, right? Yeah. So sir is at this point, it's universally accepted as genderless, but not according to these groups, of course, but it is in the military. No, but I mean, that's, right. It's this sort of this, are you really offended? You're not really offended. You're trying to make a statement about something. You're trying to say, like, I'm not what, you need to recognize that I'm not whatever. And like, okay, but like, I just have a problem. I can't get my mind around it. Like, I know maybe it's an age thing. I admit that maybe I'm not with the times. It's okay. I do understand that. And I'm not trying to be offensive, and I don't want to be. Like, right. I want to understand it a little bit better. But I feel as though, like, and believe me, I've heard various arguments and I've seen things, on the news and people being interviewed and all this sort of stuff talking about it. I mean, I'm not completely in the dark. But I just feel like most of the people that are complaining about it are people that are just mostly trying to make a statement of some sort. And like, they're not really, this is not really something it's 2021, there's a lot of things to worry about in life, and worrying about whether someone's referring to you by the wrong gender isn't really, that impactful, I guess, especially when you look like a dude, or you know what I mean? Like, it's just, that's what's fucking me up. Like,
that's the thing, is you have a conversation with someone. I was talking to someone one day and they were like, yeah, there's this person, and it was like, we're trying to figure out, like, I think they're like anamorphic or something like that. There's like some term they use. Yeah. And I was like, what is that? I go, what the hell does that mean? And it's like, well, they don't identify as male or female.
Right.
And it's like, and I'm like, yeah, but they are.
Right.
Like whether or not you want to be a guy or whether or not you want to be a girl, you have those chromosomes, you have this DNA, you have whatever.
Right.
So it's like, okay, I get it. If you want to, if your name's Davey and you want to be Giselle, go ahead.
Right.
That's fine. I have no problem with that.
Exactly.
But don't sit here and tell me, well, I don't identify as a male or a female. Get the fuck out of here.
Like, it just doesn't make it like you are one or the other. Like, you are male or female. Like, you are.
Because there's no other choices.
Right. Or you're born with both genders. I mean, there's some weirdness like that out there. But
you'd be a hermaphrodite.
Right. But for the most part, you're one or the other. And so it's like this identity thing. And the thing about the identity thing is I think Dave Chappelle had a joke about it, but it's like, you could identify with other things then. Like, why are you just identifying with male or female? Why don't you identify with race, or why don't you identify with,
I identify as a vaccine COVID person.
Right. I mean?
Like, people are saying that nowadays. They're like, oh, well, I identify myself as
right. I mean, that's just,
it's just like, shut up.
Right. They're just being dumb. But, but that's the thing, though. It's like, I don't, like, it's splitting hairs, and I just don't see, it's really, it's a deeper conversation, and I would invite somebody that was listening that is knowledgeable on this, or maybe has gone through it, to feel free to write into the show, Oblast at vgn.us, and we'll have you on and we'll talk about it, and we're totally open-minded. Just like to understand it better, because I just feel like everything I've seen on it just doesn't sway me from, like, misunderstanding the genetic facts of the matter. You know what I mean? It would be kind of like in Hitler's Germany or something, if you were just like, I'm not a Jew. I'm not a Jew. They're like, well, your history of your family says you kind of are, and you're like, no, but I'm not. I've made a choice. Yeah. I'm going to Catholic church now. I'm Catholic. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I'd be like, no.
Nose you have in your last name. Right. Your last name and that nose.
Right. You're going on the train, buddy. It's like, but we're doing this weird thing now where we're kind of like, we're just making it so you can just say what you are. I don't know. It's weird. Like, for instance, like, let's say they, women can't be in combat, right? I don't know if that's still the case. Maybe they can now. But for the longest time, women, they can be in the military. And they can be in reserve roles and be engaged in combat if combat like comes to them. You know what I mean? But like they couldn't be sent on specific combat missions. I think maybe they've changed that a little bit now. But I think for the most part, that's still pretty true. Yeah. And so if you were genetically male, could you just be like, well, I identify as a woman, so I don't have to go into combat? Like, you know what I mean? Like,
well, there's so many, and then and you know what, that falls into like with the high school sports or with college sports or something, because you got a boy or a male who says, well, I want to be a female, and it's like, okay, fine, you can identify as a female, and they're like, yeah, but I want to play volleyball with all the other girls, or I want to do girls wrestling, or I want to do girls, and it's just girls basketball. It's like, dude, you're 6 foot, you know what I mean? Right. You're almost 200 pounds. It's like, that's a distinct disadvantage to them, to everybody else.
Right.
Well, but I'm a girl. It's like, oh, God.
Yeah, like, yeah. It's it's really hard because it has a lot to do with discrimination against people that have gone through these things, and there's a lot of history of that, and we don't want to discriminate and cause those people harm. But at the same time, it's very confusing. It's just a really confusing thing. So anyway, I'm going to kind of wrap it up there because I don't want to. I don't want to go like last time. I didn't say anything. We didn't say anything else last time. It's just that I think my tone was a little bit because I was irritated. Cryptic. I was just a little irritated by the whole thing, and at that point of the day, and I feel like this is a little bit cleaner. But everybody knows what I'm talking about. It's just an unusual thing.
And if you don't, too bad.
Yeah. It's, we discuss these things on Oblast. Dentists and gender identity.
Holocaust.
Neither of which we understand that well. And the Holocaust. No.
Abortion.
Forget. No, stop it. I'm not talking about any of these things. Jesus. Yeah. So we got 5 minutes. I just want to give a little show notes here. So I have been posting up the Will It Work video game console list. I'm up to 125. Ironically enough, Donnie, I did the WWE SmackDown versus Raw TV game today. Since you're a wrestling guy, so that was like number 124, 125, something like that. And I probably have another 100, 125 more to go or something. It's a lot of work. I've been just putting a lot of time into it, and they're not like amazing videos or anything. They're mostly just what it sounds like. It's like I try to determine if the console is going to work or not. And so far, I've been doing really well. The vast majority work, which is surprising because I was expecting a lot of the Pong systems to not function. But they've been working. And I've been going through and I've been filling in some gaps as well and ordering things to sort of like, but I had this weird thing where I feel like I lost like some stuff along the way. Like I had a Atari 5200. I still do. But I had a bunch of cartridges. I had a bunch of loose cartridges for it. For instance, I had Jungle Hunt. Remember Jungle Hunt?
Oh, yeah.
And I don't know, you might have even been at my house at one time where we like plugged that in and a big spark came out when we connected it to the switch box in the back of the TV. I don't know. But we played Jungle Hunt, and I don't know what happened to all those 5200 cartridges. I know I didn't sell them because who's going to buy loose 5200 cartridges? And then it was also like, I don't know anybody with a 5200. Right. So it's like, it's not going to be like, oh, did you need Jungle Hunt? You know what I mean? Yeah. Like here, I guess you have 5200. No, nobody has a 5200. Right. So those are missing. And then like some Microvision cartridges that I had, those seem to be gone. My Sega CD is gone, but I think like maybe I threw that away because I tried to make it work once. And it was before I don't know, I figured out how to like open things up, I guess, and change belts. And it was just kind of like, it just didn't want to work. And I was like, oh, I'm just going to pitch this. Because at that point, 20 years ago or whatever, a Sega CD was just like, you could get one for $10. You know what I mean? So it's just like, this one's garbage. I'm going to get another one. But so I don't have that. I'm not 100% sure I threw it away because I don't usually do that, but I think I might have. But one thing that's weird is that, like, I have those Atari Lynx handheld systems, and I had 4 of those Atari Lynx 2s, and each one had 5 games, right? But I only have 3 now. So like 1 zipper pouch, 1 Lynx cable, 1 power adapter. But the vast majority of the loose cartridges for all of them, they're all missing. All of that is missing. And I'm just like, I don't know where that could be. Like, I don't know, like, how that could be gone. Like, I mean, somebody is going to steal a Lynx from me, like, and take duplicate cartridges? Like, it's such a weird thing. And then I'm like, I know who I am, and I could totally see myself, like, taking a Lynx and putting some games in it and giving it to somebody and being like, I'm sorry that you have to be crippled and home alone, so here's an Atari Lynx to play games on. But I wouldn't have been like, do you want 3 copies of Rampart with that? You know what I mean? Like, it doesn't make any sense. And so, yeah, those are, but nothing that's been really critical. None of my super rare stuff is missing. So I'm like, all right, well, I can replace all of this stuff. I don't really need to replace the Link. I mean, like I said, I had 4 of them. But it's just one of those weird things where I'm just looking around like, how weird did that go? Like, I didn't have a Julie moment in my life where I was like being forced to sell all my shit.
Right.
So it's just kind of like, where the fuck did this thing end up? I don't know. Right. But yeah, so anyway, that
is it probably, except at some point it probably ended up at my place or at Brian's or somewhere. You were like just taking it over there and you're like, you know what, I'll come back for that. And then you just forgot it.
Maybe. I thought of that too. Like maybe I took it on the train when I went across country with the intent of playing games, but I wouldn't have taken the duplicate cartridges. That's what's really fucking me up.
No.
Like I could imagine taking the system, but taking 3 copies of Cyberball, 3 copies of Rampart, 3 copies of Robotron 2084. It just doesn't make sense. Like it's like, and I don't know who would like open up each zipper pack and take each of those individual carts out and put, so it's like something happened, like something like, or there's like another tub somewhere with 5,200 cartridges, Lynx games, some Microvision cards, etc., that are all in there with a CD or a Sega CD. But no, I don't think that's. I mean, I've looked everywhere in this house, so unless I accidentally left one somewhere in my previous journeys, I mean, I've had these things for 30 years or more. So it's like maybe somewhere along the way, one of them got misplaced or something, but it's very strange. But anyway, rest of the show. So, Oblast at vgn.us if you'd like to be on for an interview. We'd love to have you. We do have Brenner gave us some great intro music that we're going to at some point put together an intro with it. We want to thank him for sending that over to us. We want to thank all of our Patreon people who are donating $2 to the show every month. And hopefully this stuff is entertaining for you and we don't offend you too much with the crazy shit we say about dentists. If you're a dentist, I'm sorry. You're scary. You've got like steel hooks and drills and shit. It's a fucking nightmare for us.
If you're a dentist, we're afraid of you.
Yeah.
If you're transgender or don't know what you identify as, we're just confused.
And if you're one of those and a dentist, well, then we're
anti-dentite.
We're very scared and confused.
I'm pretty sure he switched to the jokes. Does that offend you as a Jewish person? No, it offends me as a comedian.
But that's it for the show. Thanks, everybody. Talk to you later.
Peace.
You've been listening to Oblast with Don and Kevin. If you'd like to write into the show, send an email to oblast@vgn.us. That is VGN as in video game news. And be sure to check out our Patreon page, which is at patreon.com/VGN, where you can get all of our shows, our videos, and some musings. Be sure to tune in each week for new episodes on our Patreon page or every other week on the public RSS feed that you're subscribed to now. Thanks for listening, and good night.
Peace.